Dr. Amra, we will start now. Yeah, thank you. 4 minutes.
So good morning everyone. I am Dr. Amravisha. I am practicing as a uveitis specialist here in Vadodara, and today I will be presenting a post-febrile storm in the retina, and brainstorming with me through this storm was Madhvi ma'am. So let's get started. This 37-year-old male presented with a sudden loss of vision in both his eyes since the last 2 days. He had a history of high-grade fever 15 days back, which was undiagnosed. After he recovered from this febrile episode, he started developing some dimness of vision in his eyes, and he was diagnosed to have post-febrile retinitis and treated with 3 doses of IV pulse steroid. However, after the 3rd dose of IVMP, his vision dropped dramatically, and when he presented, he had a vision of counting fingers close to face in his right eye and only perception of hand movements in his left eye. So this was the fundus picture at presentation. As you can see, there is extensive involvement of the posterior pole. There are dense exudates radiating from the disc along the vascular arcades. But what is important to note here is that there is predominant involvement of the arterioles rather than a venous pattern. You can appreciate the whitish exudates which are clustered around the disc and the involved arterioles, which is suggestive of an occlusive vasculopathy in addition to an inflammatory pathology. So to confirm this, an angiography was done, which in its early phase again showed predominant involvement of the arterioles. But what is striking here is the presence of large capillary non-perfusion areas, especially involving the macula in both eyes. You can also see the pruning and the irregular filling of the vascular networks, which is again suggestive of an occlusive vasculopathy. In the late phase of angiography, there was extensive leakage from the involved vessels, but we have to note that the capillary non-perfusion areas persist even in the late phase of angiography, which is suggestive that there was an underlying ischemia in addition to the inflammation. OCT again confirmed our findings. There was hyperreflectivity of the inner retinal layers with loss of normal retinal architecture, and there is massive subretinal fluid, which is more likely indicative of a breakdown of blood retinal barrier rather than just plain exudation.
But even now, there is no shared.
So, given the predominant involvement of the arteries and occlusive vasculopathy like picture and profound ischemia in addition to inflammation, a diagnosis of an occlusive vasculitis became more likely than a post-febrile retinitis, which is more focal, has more exudation in comparison to ischemia, and has a more venous pattern rather than an arteriolar one. Given the poor response to steroids, a systemic workup was done, but all investigations remained non-contributory. So it was time to reassess. We knew that the patient had received 3 doses of IV pulse steroids. He was on oral doxycycline, but there was a worsening of vision. At presentation, given the poor response to steroids, a negative systemic workup, and an atypical clinical course suggestive of an occlusive vasculopathy, there was a strong suspicion of a viral etiology, and IV acyclovir was initiated for 10 days. Subsequently, 48 hours after starting IV acyclovir, oral steroids were reinstated, and after 10 days, we switched to oral valcyclovir. Around the 3rd or 4th day of starting IV acyclovir, the vision recovery was significant, and at 1 month you could see that there was significant reduction in the exudates, more in the right than the left eye. Subretinal fluid had resolved completely. However, the ischemic changes continued to persist. You could see there was significant disc pallor in the left eye. The vision in the right eye was 6/18, and in the left eye it had bounced back to 6/60. In conclusion, in this case and many often cases of uveitis, a line from Professor Dr. Narsingh Rao is always very relevant, that recognizing when a disease is not behaving as expected is often the key to changing its clinical course. So thank you everyone, and thank you team VRAG.
Very, very nice case, Amravi. Any comments? Navneet? Post-fever retinitis?
Anything to done to diagnose its post-viral like Aquastrap?
No, sir. When he came, he had complete loss of vision. He was a 37-year-old male being guided by two people into the OP. So, and given most of his systemic investigations had already been done to diagnose his fever, and it was all negative. So, given that there was no other significant etiology, we initiated IV acyclovir, and he showed improvement rapidly within 3 days. So, the suspicion became real that he did have a viral element.
Because post fever itself is a natural course of it shows
Right, sir.
improvement. Mostly after 6-7 days onwards. It
Right,
starts
sir. And
to-
post fever generally responds very well to IVMP. However, he had a vision of around 6/60, 6/12 in his right eye, in fact. And after the third day, he dramatically his vision dropped and came down to counting fingers and hand movements. So he was definitely showing a very poor response to systemic steroids, that to IVMP. So some infectious element was also present, became more likely in this scenario. Plus the arteriolar involvement and significant ischemia was seen on angiography, which again led more towards an occlusive vasculitis in comparison to just plain post-fever para-infectious type of retinitis.
Anybody in the audience having any comments, questions, please feel free. Any role of oral valganciclovir?
Sir, in this case, I prefer to give IV because the patient had very poor vision right at the start, and IV acyclovir works better for retinitis or at least retinal viral, especially we see in ARN and PRN. So I prefer to use IV instead of oral in this case.
And I might have missed, did you give steroids along with that?
48 hours, he already had received 3
No, no,
doses.
after
We skipped for 48 hours and then reinstated oral steroids.
Oral steroids.
Oral steroids, yes.
Yep, please. Role of?
IVT.
He's asking role of IVT, yeah?
I didn't, considering that I thought that it was infectious, I did not try to give IVTA in this case.
Yeah.
And he was responding well by day 3 or 4, so
Cytomegalovirus. Can we consider cytomegalovirus?
yeah, sir. So CMV could have been an option, but seeing that it was very significant and a very rapid progression was seen, so it seemed more herpetic than
I think the
CMV.
clinical picture was not looking
Patient-
CMV
And the patient was
retinitis.
immunocompetent,
It's
so
more
he was
in
not
the
otherwise.
herpes group of-
You said it, the arterial involvement. There is a venous involvement also, right? There is a venous involvement also. Patient has
Yeah, so
SRF.
definitely the patient
The
did
patient
have,
has SRF and macular edema.
Yes, sir, but
if there
the
is a predominant arterial involvement, you won't see the macular edema. There's a
right, sir,
bilateral
but
macular-
maybe it was also because of ischemia leading to that breakdown of blood retinal barrier, because it was massive
See,
when the patient
if
first
you look at the
presented.
clinical pictures, there is a venous torsosity, right? If you go to the fundus picture, there is a venous torsosity. So I would say there is an arteriovenous component both together.
Definitely,
So I would
sir.
consider maybe it's a post-viral or it may be a post-febrile. What you say, it's a combined occlusion type of pictures. You see ischemic changes as well as macular edema.
Right, sir, both were there, but the ischemia was much more profound to what we
Is
routinely
there any
see.
vasculitis along the venous? Is there, do you see there any active vasculitis?
On the angiography, late phase did show extensive exudation from the
Sangeet?
veins.
Yeah, one thing these days, like nowadays, we're seeing viral infections without fever also. So just keep in mind, like bilateral presentation, simultaneous, similar picture, acute presentation. You have to keep some kind of infection in mind. That is the thing. One thing that I would like to say. No, we can't be sure which infection until and unless we get the tests done, but sometime we have to keep infection in mind.
Last comment? then
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, what was the picture before IVMP, and do you think maybe something could have been done to rule out any active infection before the IVMP in the eye?
I did not have any IVMP pictures, but when he presented, he did have significant subretinal fluid and ischemic changes had already set in, and this was a history of only 2 days. So within 2 days, this retinal ischemia had increased dramatically, so we decided to act quickly and add in
And how long would you continue the antivirals?
so for the IV was continued for 10 days. By I think day 3 or day 4, the visual recovery was significant, but OCT still showed a lot of subretinal fluid, and we continued it till 10 days, then switched to oral valacyclovir, while of course
So how long would you continue the oral?
for 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Amravi. I think we need to stop.
Just
for
one
the-
last question. So in this case, what is your take on how to differentiate please clinical viral retinitis versus post-febrile course? In this case, what would be the take-home message?
No, basically, it's a post-febrile retinitis. Only the etiology was a question. So basically, as Navneet mentioned, we would have probably done a PCR or an anti-chamber tap to rule out viral or other etiologies. But as she mentioned, because of the systemic condition of the patient, it was not possible. And a therapeutic trial was given and the patient responded. So empirically, we can say it
Right,
was a
sir.
viral etiology.
Even if the PCR results would have, whatever they might have been, I don't think the course of treatment would have changed much.
Thank you. I think we are ready. Dr. Ratnam, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can see your slides. We can see your slides, ma'am.